Hello. Good. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. I've got a sore throat. Good evening, everybody. I can see we've got Nando watching. Rachel's there. Somebody's excited. I don't know who that is. Facebook user. Sarah. Hi, Rob. Oh, Gaza remark. Evening. So, hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. Like I said, I can only apologise for the state of my voice. As you might have noticed recently, I haven't kind of been around that much, and the girls have been kind of taking the reins a little bit. But now I'm back, and you're stuck with me. I'm really sorry. I'm not Rachel. I'm not as pretty as Nikki and Gemma either, so it's kind of tough. Tonight, anyway, we have another announcement. When you thought we could not give you any more speakers and you didn't think we could get any more exciting and any more interesting or anything else different, well, we've done it again. So this is, hand on heart, 100%, the final speaker. We will not, I promise you, I won't be announcing any more. So this evening, I would like to introduce you to a lovely gentleman. He is very knowledgeable within his field. I'm going to try not to talk too much. I'm going to get him to talk about himself to you instead. Do you know what? Rather than just chatting away and doing what Rachel was saying, it's waffling, please welcome to our lineup of 2023 Festival of the Unexplained, Mr. Jay Austin.
How you doing?
Hello.
You sound like you're back on there, Karen.
I'm trying.
Yeah, you're doing well.
Well, thank you for agreeing to join us at this year's Festival of the Unexplained.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, Rachel says send me the link if I wanted to join.
Okay.
So, for anyone that doesn't know who you are, can you tell us about yourself?
Okay, so as I say, my name's Jay Austin. My background is mainly in mixed martial arts. So I'm an ex-cage fighter, ex-pro wrestler, and for the last 11 to 12 years, I've gone public with my fascination into what we call the phenomenon. And the phenomenon can mean different things. So it's UFOs, it's light forms, it is cryptid stuff, it is what you guys look into, which is what you could term as the paranormal. There's a broad spectrum, and all of it fascinates me because I believe it's all connected.
Mm-hmm.
As I say, I started my own Facebook page some 11 years ago. And I had this idea that I wanted to comprise the best minds in British ufology and kind of have them in one place. So you'd have like specialists in crop circles, you would have a specialist in cryptids, you would have a specialist in the nuts and bolts stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really pan out that way, in part maybe down to ego, and I was a little bit naive. So for the last 6-7 years now, I've gone alone, and I find that works better for me. And the page has become so big that it's kind of, it's become this monster that constantly needs feeding. And with, I'm not sure how much you follow what's going on in the UFO world, or UAP world as it's now known, but there's information coming out on a constant basis now. And for me, as a researcher and investigator, it's fantastic because, the stigma, there's been a big stigma around the word UFO for as long as I can remember. And I think, obviously, my fascination with this started as a teenager. But if you mention this to anyone, you're a weirdo, or you had mental health problems, or, you wore a tinfoil hat in your mum's basement. Whereas since 2017, with the release of the New York Times article, which was glowing auras and black money, the Pentagon's secret UFO program. And then obviously you had the likes of Lou Elizondo come forward, you had Christopher Mellon come forward, and some of these other prominent figures that have worked for the Department of Defense, for the US government. And when they came forward, and obviously they released the 3 videos that are now famous, which was the Tic Tac from 2015, the gimbal, and the Go Fast footage, it's brought a new set of eyes to this subject. And now, I wouldn't say the stigma has eradicated altogether, but what I would say is it's now more acceptable to discuss this stuff and this type of phenomenon. But what I will say is my personal interest is around multifaceted phenomenon. And I can give you an example, and hopefully we can talk about this when I come to see you. But my talk's going to be based around the events that go on at Skinwalker Ranch. Now, a lot of people have heard about Skinwalker Ranch now with the TV show and obviously the movie that came out done by Jeremy Corbell. But I've been looking into this place since Robert Bigelow owned it, before the current owner, who's Brandon Fugel. And what I found out is you've got every type of phenomenon that exists on this ranch. It's not confined to the ranch. The ranch just seems to be the epicenter. That whole northeastern Utah area of America where this phenomenon seems concentrated. And it's my belief that, rather than looking at sort of little green men riding spaceships around the sky and coming from outer space, I think there's an element to this that is interdimensional. And we need to look beyond the realms of science, be it physics. This stuff, when it eventually comes out, which I think it will, I don't think all of it will, because there is a darker side to this subject. But I think we're close to an announcement that says we're not alone and we never have been alone.
Hi, Rachel.
Hello.
Hi, Rachel.
Good evening.
How you doing?
I'm all right. I thought I'd jump on. Sorry, no makeup. I haven't even brushed my hair. It's been a long day. But
yeah, I've not brushed mine either.
Yeah,
or washed it.
Strays. I was just talking about Skinwalker Ranch, and it reminded me. I watched an amazing documentary. Well, I don't know what you'd call it, about Blind Frog Ranch.
Yeah.
And that is fascinating. And I think there's like 3 seasons of it. They're watching, thinking, are they going to find something? Are they actually going to find something? And then a big twist. So from going for digging for gold and looking for treasure became something completely different altogether.
Yeah.
They had like government vehicles and they were finding symbols everywhere. It's fascinating. So
yeah, it is. And I get, sorry to interrupt you there, but even with Skinwalker Ranch, you look at some of the ancient petroglyphs that they found there, and there's symbolism back to Freemasonry. Obviously, the Native Americans won't set foot on the land. So what they describe as being a skinwalker is literally a shape-shifting witch that can take the appearance of various animals and phenomena. But if you follow the TV show, the last season's just concluded in America, and I think it starts here next week on the History Channel. And, spoiler alert here, but they find some really interesting stuff. And they're applying science as science should be applied to this subject. And they've got some very clever people that are looking at this. And I don't want to give too much away for anyone that's invested in watching the TV show, but give it a watch. It's fantastic, and they do get some results.
You said to me about a what was that show you told me? Oh my goodness me! What was that show you told me to watch the other day while we were chatting on the phone? Documentary.
Yeah, there's a good friend of mine called Paul Sinclair.
That's it.
Paul's researched this subject for on and off the last 20 years or so. It's probably one of my closest friends in this subject and out of this subject, and someone that I trust impeccably in terms of his character. Now, Paul does a lot of his research up around, they call it the Yorkshire Wolds, which translates into wilds. And it centres around the areas of Bempton and Bridlington. Now, Paul is capturing very similar stuff to what's happening at Skinwalker Ranch. There's evidence of occult activity. There's people gone missing there. There are what we would describe as werewolf sightings. And then you've got the light forms and the nuts and bolts UFOs. And I've actually been up there with him. I've actually camped in the Woods Wild. And I think it was the Sunday we were coming back home. And Paul dropped me a message, and then about a mile away from where we were staying, there was an animal mutilation. So, and these things, as you know, with the animal mutilation, there's not a drop of blood. These are deer as well. So even if you were to get within 100 yards of one of these deers, they're so skittish, they would run off. Now, with the sharpness of the hoofs that the animals have, if you were to corner one of these animals, it's going to defend itself. So it only sort of boggles the mind as to what and who could have done this. But Paul's latest documentary, and he'll be embarrassed for me to say this is fantastic. So it's called Wolfland. It is available on Amazon Video. I was fortunate enough to see it pre-release. I was sent to a couple of other friends, and it's fantastic. It's boots on the ground stuff. And he's speaking with the witnesses that have encountered this beast. And what you're talking about is a 8 to 9 foot tall bipedal, hunchback, heavily muscled, and the description is, basically what we describe as being a dog man or a werewolf. And you hear these witnesses, and what you've got to understand is that part of Yorkshire, they don't welcome outsiders. In fact, they kind of prohibit that.
Right.
Yeah, they don't want people snooping around, and they're quite private people, and they're quite sort of like men's men up there. And when you hear the witnesses on this documentary, you can hear the fear in their voices, and it's left me in no doubt. And obviously, I could say I'm biased with being friends with Paul, but push that aside, and the accounts on there are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Now, when you look at that, you think, is this something that blends into our reality? Because for something that's, 8 foot tall, heavily muscled, the food source to keep it that, you'd be seeing slaughtered animals everywhere, and there'll be absolutely carnage. So, this thing, by the way, it goes back hundreds of years, and people are having the exact same accounts. And for every person that comes forward, there's another 10 that aren't willing to come forward, and they are terrified. Plus, the stigma around this is, this is the stuff from books and myth and legend. So it's one leap from the UFO stuff, but the cryptid stuff and some of the other phenomenon that's going on there, it's difficult. I don't expect people to believe this because it sounds absurd. But if you follow Paul Sinclair's work, he's available on Facebook. He has a website called Truth Proof. And as I say, he's done several documentaries now. So the latest being Wolflands, the one before that was called Bringing Down the Light. And that is sort of about the multifaceted phenomenon that he's seeing. And he has footage as well. He's got footage. He's got evidence. Not so much of the dogman, because that seems to be quite elusive, but the light forms that exist out at sea and the stuff that comes inland, it's crazy. And I've seen it with my own two eyes as well.
That's mad.
But what I will say is that, akin to Skinwalker Ranch, which obviously has gone mainstream, and it's this paranormal Disneyland, if you will. There are places, as Rachel mentioned, like Blind Frog Ranch. There are other situated areas around the world where every type of phenomenon you can think of, from Bigfoot to poltergeist activity to occult type activity, to cryptids, to nuts and bolts UFOs, to these orbs that people see that are bubbling with some kind of liquid and can induce fear into people. It all seems to go on. So, you know, are there areas or portals or wormholes, as now is being discussed by like some NASA and some of these higher up people? And is there a tear in the fabric of space, if you will, where it is multidimensional, where these things occasionally bleed into our reality?
It's terrifying. It's actually quite terrifying, isn't it? It's as fascinating as it is. It's just you never expect the way you've just been talking there. You know about your experiences in East Yorkshire. We call it fake Yorkshire.
Yeah.
If it's fake Yorkshire, but in you know, it's sort of the East Coast. There is that you wouldn't expect something like that so close to home. You wouldn't expect that just on the outskirts of Yorkshire. So the prospect of being something so active and so different.
Yeah.
Just something that we can't really imagine without seeing that. It's hard to determine, you know, whether it's something. Do we believe it? Is it a seeing as believing? Are we going to see loads of people rocking up now and trying to investigate this area? And what kind of dangers are they getting themselves into if this?
People already are, and you know, there's a redundant RAF base that sits on the cliffs of Benton. And that's where there has been proof of occultism type of activity going on. Excuse me. Paul's wrote 5 books on the subject, so you imagine there's a lot of meat on the bones there, as they say. But as I say, when you look at like the people that have gone missing there, one was a nationwide case where this lad actually featured on the likes of This Morning on ITV. And I think his name was Russell Browning or Bowring. Please forgive me on that. But he was looking into, he'd found some videos of some urban explorers that have gotten down into the tunnels underneath this old RAF base. And I should add that I think it was in the 70s up until the 80s. It was like a precursor to basically what's in America now known as HARP, where it was like radar stations. Okay. Abandoned in the 80s, and pretty much since then through to the late 90s, it was used for ritualistic stuff. And there are some videos, if you type in RAF Benton on YouTube, where some urban explorers have got into the underground tunnels. And you see things like, and I mean, this is detailed, it's not just graffiti. You know, these drawings of these women, you know, in a pornographic nature with devil horns and doing things to other women and stuff like that. They found robes down there. And I'm not talking about like, you know, your bed sheets that you pull out for Halloween with a couple of holes for eyes. These are proper stitched fabric and folded nicely in the corner. So this lad that went missing, this Russell, he was looking into a lot of this stuff. I think a friend had sent in some bits on the base, and he didn't have enough money in his bank account to get to the area where his car was found, and he's never been seen again. Now, you do get people going up there, unfortunately, to commit suicide because you've got basically a 300-foot drop to the North Sea. So, you go over those cliffs, there's no going back. But there's been all kinds of strange accounts up there. I would recommend anyone to read Paul's Truth Proof series of books. And this isn't a plug for him, but like if you want to know more about the goings on there in great detail, Paul does a fantastic job of doing that.
It's fascinating.
Well, it's official, Jay. You are on our website.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Have you just got the notification? That'll say notification now. It's official.
Yeah. Okay, it's official.
It's cool. All official.
That's cool. Thank you very much. But is there anything else you want to get into tonight, or
we don't? I think too deep into it because we want you to see it for the festival. So yeah.
There's so much I can talk about, and we what I will say in closing is, what I've noticed is you've got your paranormal guys, you've got your Bigfoot guys, you've got your UFO people. We need to start working together because this is all connected, and it's almost left up to us to connect those dots.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to push that ego aside and start looking at each other's work and working with each other, because there's a real phenomenon here that I think, what's the word I'm looking for? It grasps the imagination, and
Mm-hmm.
it deserves our interest and our investigation into it. Will we ever get the answers fully to some of this stuff? Maybe not. But the fun part is, looking into it and trying to, connect the dots, so to speak.
Do you find there's a bit of snobbery though? You get sort of paranormal investigators. Do you find that sometimes that level of snobbery where they're looking down their noses at ufologists and those are interesting?
Yeah.
Have you experienced that?
And it exists within ufology, unfortunately. You've got guys, like a good friend of mine, George Knapp, who broke the Bob Lazar story of Area 51. And he often says ufology eats its young, because you've got guys, and unfortunately, I don't want to go too much into this, but it's become a lucrative business, shall we say. And some are more concerned with how many books they sell and how many TV shows they make and whatnot. I've got no interest in that. This subject hasn't done me too many favors. It's I'm kind of out of the closet, so to speak, on this stuff now. And on the quiet, people will kind of come to me and ask me stuff where they've seen it on the TV shows or a documentary. But more often than not, there's still a stigma around this. Now, it's not helpful when your peers in ufology are very dismissive of your claims, because it's kind of like everyone wants to be the guy to figure this out. And unfortunately, there's a lot of that exists. And I've seen elements of that in the paranormal field. I've seen this in the cryptid field, and I've seen it in ufology. So I do my own thing. I've got my little group of people that I trust with information, and I kind of stick to that, to be honest. And so far, that's worked for me. So, I've got the opinion of, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose that going back decades, when there was the reports of the little green men in the US government, where we just laughed it off, hasn't helped anyone's cause. And
no,
there is so much more now. More people are talking about it, and so much. People are so much more open to the idea that we aren't alone in this universe.
We are. I go back to 3-4 weeks ago when the congressional hearing was on, and you had David Grush, who's had the highest security clearance in the Department of Defense, come forward as a whistleblower and say, yeah, he's found evidence of crash retrieval programs. And sometimes when they recover those vehicles, there are biological entities that are involved with that. Now, the pushback from the government is already happening. They're already trying to label this guy as, when he served in the armed forces, he had PTSD. And these are government people that are trying to discredit this guy based on him actively fighting for his country, which I think is disgusting in itself. But what I will tell you is David Grush is 100% legit. And you are going to see more whistleblowers coming forward, some that are still involved with some of these programs and some that have worked for these programs. Because what you had that was introduced last year as legislation is you had, I think it's called the Presidential Protection Act, and that protects whistleblowers. So this David Grush that's come forward has actually filed a complaint with the Inspector General of the Department of Defense. So he's actually been authorized to say legally what he has said in the interview, and obviously in front of Congress the other week. But there's a lot of stuff that he can't talk about. And that's the stuff that's still classified. And if he broke those oaths, then he would be, he'd be arrested and thrown in jail. So it's kind of exciting times with this subject. And I think, watch this space. watch this space, because there's going to be some exciting stuff. I can't give too much away because I've got to protect certain people. But if what I've been told comes to fruition, then we're not far away from a public announcement that we're not alone, and we never have been alone.
I don't think I can't even speak anymore.
Oh, bless you.
Enjoy the peace. We should all enjoy the peace whilst we can. There's going to be no stopping her. She'll just be like this all weekend. So yeah, it's going to be great. She can't for 6 hours at a time, so that's great. So one of the things that we're excited about is, our lineup this year is quite heavily sort of paranormal based. We have a lot of paranormal investigators. We have some psychic mediums. But from across the seas as well. So you're adding something a little bit different to the lineup this year.
Yeah.
So feel about that being, slightly different?
It's exciting, and it's exciting for the reason that it's completely diverse. And as I touched upon earlier, we need to start working together rather than, we're all sort of segregated and pigeonholed into the things that interest us. I have the saying that everything is paranormal until it becomes explainable. Be that UFOs, cryptids, whatever. It is. Everything is paranormal until it becomes explainable. And we need to look past that. And instead of sort of saying, well, that can't be true, that guy's talking about this that I'm not interested in, we need to start looking at each other's work and connecting those dots. And it's the only way, as your festival's titled Festival of the Unexplained, if you want to say this is unexplained phenomenon as a blanket term, then we need to do this to push this subject forward, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you. But that's that's why the convention's named what it is. That was the whole thing of setting out in the first place, was to be Rachel, please finish talking for me.
Yeah. So we're conscious that there's more out there than just ghosts and energies, and we wanted to include everybody. It wasn't just a paranormal, spooky, spiritualist type of convention. So there are so many of those popping up all over the world, and we wanted to do something that was a lot more inclusive. I think it makes me quite proud to see just how welcoming we are as a nation as well. So within the we are open to new ideas. Things aren't taboos anymore, and I think that lockdown had a lot to do with that. It gave people the time to sit there and really think about what's around them. So it's not just the unexplained and strange goings on, but that the whole conspiracy theories, and people were like, at last David Icke was right, and that is great, but this festival gives everybody the opportunity to come together and talk about what their beliefs are in a safe space where nobody's going to judge, nobody thinks you're crazy, and nobody's going to call you a crazy conspiracy theorist. So I think it's a great opportunity to have you on board and listen to what you say as well.
Yeah, and I look forward to obviously engaging with the public as well. Anyone who wants to come forward with their stories or their accounts, I welcome that. So I'm looking forward to the entire weekend. It should be great. And, big thank you to Karen and yourself and Nikki for the invite and, the welcome, the warm welcome. Although I was told to bring my party pants, so I'm not sure what that means. Something to do with the ball?
Yeah, it's not a Playboy bunny type thing, so don't worry about that.
That's cool. I'm just worried about like my masquerade mask and looking like Zorro, but
well, nobody will judge. It'll be fine. My mask arrived and it fell apart, so I'm thinking about getting face paint. It's Halloween season, so maybe just see what the pound shop's got to offer.
Yeah.
But what we love about the festival is that we all work so hard, day to day, 9 to 5, and we all have our own hobbies and interests and theories, and we all make friends on social media. We see people posting all the time. So the festival's a really good chance to just have one massive blowout and people that you speak to on a regular basis and have loads of fun as well. So last year was insane. It was a bit of a blur, wasn't it, Karen? We got up, powered on, slept about 4 hours, walked 300,000 steps, and then just crashed when we got home. We wouldn't have the other way. So we're hoping that,
You've got to love those Apple Watches counting your steps.
I don't know. I was slipping through grids by the time I got.
And just to ask you girls, for anyone who's listening tonight that wants tickets, I believe there's only day tickets available now. Is that right?
He's good, isn't he? I was leading to that, and he went straight in. Karen's got the count, haven't you? How many do we have?
Okay.
Because we sold.
But for anyone who wants tickets, head to your website.
Yeah.
What said?
Okay.
What he said.
Yeah.
Yes,
we can use sign language, Karen. It's all good. I'm joking.
Only got day tickets left, so all our VIP packages are sold out now. We do only have 3 day tickets left for Saturday, and we have 4 left on the Sunday. So we do keep more tickets due to popular demand, but we are having to cap it just for fire safety.
Yeah, no, I get that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting you guys, and I believe you're up in Chester that same week, which happens to be where I live. So yeah, it's going to be great to meet you guys.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're dragging our American guests around the north of England. So okay. I know that Daryl's very eager to try Greg's pasty. So
oh, poor guy! Don't introduce him to that.
I know, but Chester's a 3 Greg's town. I noticed it last time we went. So Karen and I stopped in Danny Moss's, my haunted hotel, a couple of months ago, and woke up the next morning. We're desperate for coffee. Karen was still, and I went out, and I'm like, how many Gregs does this town have? Is that really necessary? So yeah, we're just gonna hit.
You said there's 3. I think there's only 2 now, to be honest. But yeah,
I didn't sleep.
If that's all you remember Chester for, then you haven't explored
it. That was it, just the Greg.
Yeah, just the Gregs.
Well, we've got your number. We just hit you up when we arrive. Hey,
absolutely. I'll take you to the good haunts and a couple of good pubs along the way. So I look forward to it.
Yeah,
it's just great not to,
isn't it? Because we tend to we were talking about where we should stay when we were doing a mini tour of the UK on the way down to Bosworth, and there's a place I've always wanted to stay at. We're not going to talk about it because it's a surprise for our Americans.
Yeah, I know I secretly know the location, but
I told him the other night
that I could have died when I saw the price of it. It's like hooked. So
you want to see the price of a pint in there?
Really?
It's all right. She'll put it on my card. She won't care.
All on expenses, eh? Oh, okay.
Karen's paying that entire week. Unfortunately, payday doesn't fall until the 5th.
No, it's called Karen's expenses, not business expenses, just Karen's expenses.
Yeah, but it's all tax deductible, you know.
So. I've got a load of pot noodles though for the festival, so she's got something to nibble on an evening. So
sounds good to me.
I've got a suitcase full of pot noodles. So if anybody's hungry that weekend, you come knock on our door, and we've got.
Go and see Rachel. She'll sort it out.
Yeah. It's like Nikki went to town today. We went out shopping, for sort of last minute bits that we needed, for goodie bags and basics like sellotape and blue tack, just the basic sort of stuff we need. And we were only going out for a couple of bits. We both spent about £240 each, and we just so much stuff. So
it sounds like weirdly, it sounds like me when I go venture to like a Home Bargains or B&M.
We did both.
Yeah. Go in there and you come out spending 40-50 quid easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about what B&M and Home Bargains tells you want. You just
it's all the offers.
What happened?
Yeah, it's all the offers, isn't it? But as I say, I can't wait to see you guys. Not long to go now, so it's
how many days? How many days, Rachel? How many days? Because you've been counting them down.
Well, 1 second. Hang on. So we are collecting. Our guests are in 10 days.
Woohoo!
So we collect some of our guests in 10 days, and then we head down to Bosworth, and
Cool.
then it starts on the Thursday. So
13 days until the event actually starts. It starts on the 14th. 13 days, people, and the convention commences.
Yeah, get those last few tickets, guys. Let's make it a sellout.
Weekend is my birthday. If you'd like to send cards, you can bring them with you to Bosworth.
21 again, yeah?
Yeah, plus
Yeah.
20.
Yeah. But I'm me.
We've had to put up the birthday banners just behind. So the birthday banners are ready. Celebrate.
Oh, God love you. Yeah, you get to a certain age and you don't celebrate anymore.
No.
No.
And it's just another number. And I think that getting older, so when I turned 40, I wasn't really bothered about it. So I was 45. No, I wasn't that bothered. But I think
why weren't you bothered? Because I was already 40. That's why you weren't bothered. Because I'm still older than you.
Lois is older than me, so I'm not that fussed.
See?
Oh, birthday banner fell down. That's karma.
That is karma if you're saying about birthdays.
I just think that you find as you get older, you tend to care less about what people say about you and what people think. And I think that, so I think that, in my opinion, I've become a little more open to things that are unexplained. Yeah. And I'm willing to talk about it to anybody. If I work for local authority and I'll sit in the office rambling about weird stuff. And they call me, so I'm the office spooky lady. And I don't care. Years ago, I might have thought, I don't want people thinking that I'm weird. Now it's like, you fully embrace it.
You've got to embrace it, yeah.
And it's because they're secretly interested in it. Yeah. It's never a weird taboo anymore, is it? Everybody wants to know what's out there.
Well, I just think there's that many TV shows and documentaries coming out at such a rapid rate these days that, and don't get me wrong, the TV shows are great, but you need to read. You need to pick up books and read the literature to know exactly what's going on. Because the TV shows are designed to make you tune in the following week and the week after that and the week after that. And sadly, ratings is a big thing. And not to discredit some of the paranormal stuff, because there are some fantastic shows that I've watched. Guys like Jack Osborne doing Portals from Hell, and obviously the guys from Ghost Hunters and Ghost Nation. There's some really good shows. But like even with this Skinwalker Ranch TV show that's just concluded its 4th season, there's way more going on that they can put in the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Way more, and there's a lot more scary stuff that they can't put in there as well. So what I would say to people is pick up the books, start reading, do your own research, and you'll soon find out that this stuff is real and tangible.
What might be helpful actually is if you were able to send us a link through with maybe some reading materials people might be able to access.
I can do that for you and recommend some books.
Yeah, I think that'd be helpful because it is an area in which a lot of people won't have approached before or even considered. I know that years ago I was asked a question. It's like, how do you feel that spirituality and UFOs fit together? And I was sat there like, I have literally no idea how to answer that. And
I could answer that question for you here and now, but I think we'll leave so much to the talk. But this is where I'm saying it is all connected. Consciousness. I will say that word, and that's what connects the spirituality stuff to the UFOs. Mm-hmm. Everything we put out as in our thoughts and our feelings is all frequency. Now, there are things that, let me give you an example. So the highest frequency we can exist at as human beings is love. And I think that's why there's so much division in the world. I think but that's in part done by design these days. And then the lower end of the scale, where you've got hatred and negativity and discrimination and all those horrible things, that is where a lot of this darker stuff lives. And it feeds off that. So the frequency thing is completely real, because how often do we walk into a room and say, do you know what, I'm getting bad vibes? Mm-hmm. We say it as a flippant comment. So like you can literally pick up on other people's energies. And the more that me personally now speaking, but the more I trust my intuition, the more it guides me. And it seems to, introduce me to new people that can show me something that I didn't already know, or in my own personal growth, or in my own research as well. It's mad how it works. I kind of at a point in my life at 43 years old where I don't believe in coincidences anymore.
Sorry.
I call them synchronicities.
Nikki's here.
Hey, Nikki.
Sorry.
Wow, I'll spot you a mile off with that hair.
Oh yeah, they've just been to the hairdressers.
That
So
was me in a crowd.
apologies.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I went for a short back in sides and came back with this.
Asking for my money back.
You'll have to excuse my dad jokes, I think they call them. But with the frequency thing, it's like, you know that I can send you a video via WhatsApp. You might be in another country, but yet you don't see that moving pixel by pixel through the sky. You just know that within so many seconds, that video is going to be downloaded onto your device, and you can watch that. But we don't look beyond that and think, there's so much that we can't see going on around us, and the frequency thing. I think, not to put my conspiracy theory hat on, but during COVID, it was fear everywhere during the pandemic. Now, fear will naturally lower your immune system. And I have a good friend who's a very famous celeb. You guys probably know who he is. And he literally messaged me and said, turn your television off. Stop watching the news, turn your notifications off on your phone, because everything was about projected death toll. There was nothing about anyone surviving this or anyone who's had it that had recovered. It was just fear. And, you can link that into the stuff that we investigate and we look into. So when you look at these darker energies, they literally prey on our fear. So it doesn't sound so absurd when you explain it the way you do.
Yeah. Right.
Sorry, Karen. We had this conversation the other day, didn't we, with Daryl, about during lockdown, we'd had a lot of people asking us for help because they were noticing more negative energy within their homes. They were starting to see things or feeling things, and it was just that panic and that fear and that isolation, and a huge increase in that, people reaching out asking for help. And we were trying to do what we could from home, or posting smudging items out to people, and it is all about the energy. And we had a great conversation, a very brief conversation with Rob Thompson the other day about the energy of water, which again is fascinating. So I'm hoping that Rob will talk more about that in a few weeks at the festival. But
I look forward to that. But again, ley lines and things as well, the Earth's magnetic grid. What I will say is I think the ancients had it more figured out than what we do currently. We've come away from a lot of this stuff through television and media, and dare I say, some of the brainwashing stuff that's put out there. And we need to return to that. And like where I used to live in North Wales, go to a lot of these megalithic and Neolithic sites where these stone circles exist. And it's no coincidence that people get cured of cancers and, other ailments that they've got going on. And there's also a high concentration of phenomena around these areas. And when I say phenomenon, I don't just mean UFOs. I mean all the other stuff that goes along with that. So I think we need to return to that. I think the ancients probably had this way more figured out than what we do. And as I say, we need to start investigating this stuff, because there's a lot of truth to it, and there's a lot of science to it as well. And if you want to look into the frequency thing, you can literally jump onto YouTube and type in sound resonance experiments. And literally what they're doing is they've got like a table with salt or sand, so low density material. and all they're doing is playing different frequencies, and you see the intricate patterns that this soul forms into. Now, it's fascinating to watch, but if you think of that as cells in our body that are constantly alive, then yeah, you can definitely link the two together. It's fascinating stuff.
I think we're in for a really good weekend, especially as we've got, now 2 guest speakers that, that have the same opinion when it comes to certain experiments with frequencies and energy. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to have some heated conversations, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to the panel on the Sunday as well.
Mm.
And obviously being asked questions by your wonderful audience. So I hope people, again, if you want to ask me any questions relating to Skinwalker Ranch, there's a fantastic book. I believe it's available on Audible, and that is George Knapp and Colm Kelleher's Hunt for the Skinwalker. And you've also got the documentary that was produced by filmmaker Jeremy Corbell, who's a good friend of mine. A certain Mr. Robbie Williams also visited the ranch, so he's actually on the film as well. Give it a watch. Delve into this stuff. It's really fascinating. And I think a lot of your audience would resonate with a lot of what's going on in these places.
Well, I think we don't want to tell anybody any more stuff. Stop laughing at me. Thank you for coming on. Sorry
You're
about
welcome.
This.
Yeah.
Thanks for Rachel saving me as usual.
I was going to say you've done fantastically well given your voice is given out. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm just reading some of the comments. There's been some great comments in here, while we've been chatting. So we'll have to go read those. I'm so sorry to anybody who've missed. So we've got William Bride. Hey, I did a numerology talk at the Awakening Expo Manchester last week. The UFO talks were powerful at the show. People agreeing with age. Yeah, all about that. And then everybody saying that they're super excited about the festival. So sorry we didn't flash up your comments. My
bad. That was my fault.
Yeah, she had one job. She couldn't talk, so we're just hoping that she might use the mouse, but no. Bless her. We'll let her off.
Yeah, so save those questions for when you see me. I'm approachable, and I will happily engage with anyone and everyone.
Well, unfortunately, Jay, you've got no choice because you are going to be situated right in the speakers room as well with all of our exhibitors. So you can be with all the stall holders. So you're probably going to be hounded quite a lot over the weekend. Are you bringing anything with you? Do you have any?
No, at the moment, I'm just in the process of discussing in the early stages whether to write a book, because I actually wrote about 5 chapters for a book that got released in Spain last year, and we touched upon the abduction phenomenon. So we looked at a couple of cases where there was like the Betty and Barney Hill UFO abduction case, which is obviously very famous. I looked at Travis Walton's case and a couple of others. And then I looked at the work of, he was, get my words in. So hypnosis regression, I think they call it. It was a guy called Dr. John Mack, who was actually a lecturer at Harvard University. So very high in academia. And he got these people under this regression and seemed to get more details out. And we also looked at the effects of like psychedelics, so things like DMT and ayahuasca, where people seem to say they have a very similar experience to stuff that these people relate to in their abduction experiences. So from there, as I say, the book's in the early stages. It's kind of like a think project at the moment, but we'll see if we come up with something, and that's going to be the next step.
That's super exciting. Well, once you've written that book and you have it released, please do come back and join us again for another festival.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to.
Please, don't we? We want signed copies, Karen.
Definitely.
Yeah, or I'll track him down.
If nothing else, he makes a good doorstop or something to hit your hubby over the head with.
Just add it to the collection, just stick it on the shelf with others.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, though, thank you very much for agreeing to join us this year.
No.
We're really to have you. I think we've done a good job there. Look, we've a good one there. He's great. So if anybody would like to come and join us this year at the festival, if you want to come and speak with Jay, or want to come and listen to all our other speakers, and you just want to come out with Karen and I, because we are incredible humans. So if you do want to come and join us, then head to www.festivalunexplained.com. We only have a very few day tickets left. We only have a few of the Saturday and Sunday tickets. So if you're having any issues with booking those tickets, please do get in touch and we'll help you with that. So go now before they run out, because we will not be releasing any more, unfortunately, because otherwise we're going to have health and safety and fire brigade knocking on the door saying, no, that's enough. So with that, it's nearly 10 o'clock. Fancy that.
Yeah, it is.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm sorry I spoke quite late. And sorry, Karen.
No, it's okay. Both great, fantastic hosts. So, don't worry.
And
thank you. Like I said, well, thank you. I did say I wasn't very well, but I didn't actually tell the girls how bad I was.
Oh, Karen.
No, I just
get some vitamin C and a hot toddy down you.
I honestly thought you were just sat on the loo. I thought you meant you were unwell.
Oh, thanks.
You're like little brown fish unwell. But never
anyway, moving on. Thank you for joining us, Jay. Thank you for everything watched tonight and for all your comments. And
thank you everyone for watching, and good night. And I look forward to seeing you at Festival of the Unexplained. Good night.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.